So April 15th, we got the announcement that we were going to idle some of the units. And so we had already been running idle since April. But the letter itself read that the company had decided to idle indefinitely. Those were the words that they used. But they based it on the COVID. They really did. The demand was too low for our area. Nobody was let go at that time. We were all given warn letters. We were all given 60 days. So I know a lot of people that were working with the plant. They were from out of state initially, so they would all most of them are just going back home or back to different areas. But I know that a lot of the people here locally are definitely going to pack up and leave. There's just nothing here.
I started working at the refinery, which at the time was Western Refinery, in 2012. I was an outside boiler operator, so I just did maintain water quality, ran water softeners, a lot of water treating stuff. So you had to make sure the boiler feed water was soft, make sure the conductivity was, they have parameters where they want everything to be, so you just had to make sure all your water stayed within those parameters as far as treating it, RO units, all that kind of stuff. Before coronavirus, no, we were doing good. I mean, we were at 100% and they were pushing us every day to stay there, They wanted to run as much through that refinery as they could. And that was basically our focus every day, was to keep everything running at maximum production, up until coronavirus came. And then in March, we basically shut down units and stopped making product.
Marathon is an economic-based employer, which means that there's lots of domino effect associated with it. Not only is it the immediate jobs, the personal income tax, it's the property tax, it's the gross receipts tax, it's the contributions that they make in terms of donations to organizations. There's a whole number of impacts. I think my strategy is to work with company representatives in looking at strategies for repurposing. That facility has just been upgraded. It's just gone through a complete maintenance overhaul. It would make sense to me that it would be attractive for alternative fuel use, possibly petrochemical use. I just think it is a very, very good industrial asset. We need to do an asset assessment and look at what repurposing would be available to us. It's tragic. It's tragic in terms of what that economic impact is to the community. But my job is to try to figure out what we can do in terms of making lemonade out of lemons. And that's exactly what we're going to do.
This started about when Endeavor purchased Marathon. We heard rumblings about them may not keep the plant. Then in the summer of last year, they came in and upgraded the plant to the tune of $300 to $400 million. So then we thought the plant was safe. Then about April or so, when they shut down and COVID shut everybody down, they laid them off. And then just before we started reopening stuff, Marathon contacted us as legislators and told us that they were gonna shut down the plant. When they announced that, a few of us business guys got together and started talking about, okay, well, what is there, and let's figure out what's happening. We did contact Marathon. We asked them, is it a done deal? Is the plant closing for sure? Can it be bought? What are our options at this point to try to save those jobs in that community? They did come back and said, if you have $700 million, you can buy the whole thing. But they had diverted the oil, which is crucial to that plant coming into a pipeline to feed that refinery. they diverted that oil to go to Texas to another refinery. They sold off all the retail and contracted with 7-Eleven to do that. So you just had a refinery with no outlets. So then we come back and looked at biofuels. Can that be converted and corn oil brought in and do a biofuel plant? And that plant's a little tougher to do biofuels in. And so, you know, where are you at with options? And you try to look forward and say, okay, who can come operate that? I did contact, he used to be the governor of Tennessee, and had met him. They own Flying J, and say, you know, this might be an opportunity for you. You need to look at it because you have truck stops nationwide. And if this is something that you could use, then you should look at it. They called back and said, you know, it doesn't fit our business model, even though we're right there in the front door.
Marathon owned the Speedway stores, so they basically refined their own gasoline. So they would supply all of their stores, everything in all the speedways in town, you know, were getting their fuel from this refinery. Probably a lot of them in Albuquerque, anything close. You know, they had their El Paso refinery, which there's a pipeline, so they could bring fuel up, and that's how they supply it now. From what I understand, is El Paso and Utah those refineries are now supplying this area.
Gallup has taken a beating, not only with COVID, but I mean, we also lost, McKinley County lost the Escalante plant. They're shutting that down. And there's probably 200 employees. Most of those employees are from grants, but still it's a major property tax for McKinley County, you know. So anyway, we've taken a beating. I mean, I think we've hit bottom. I mean, the only direction left for us is straight up. It's gotta be, you know. So, you know, I mean, we're in the process of doing impact studies to find out definitely how it's gonna affect us. It's gonna be a number of real estate houses that will be up for sale, you know. But the trickle-down effect too, those good-paying jobs, 300 good-paying jobs, that means the businesses are going to be affected. The gross receipts tax is definitely going to be gone.
There's not a lot of companies or industries here in the Gallup area that can provide, you know, a good pay like the refinery did. So we have obviously that require a little bit more schooling or degrees, you know what I mean? So if you don't have any of that, then you're just pretty much you're just gonna have to settle, really, I think, for just about anything. Over the years, I mean, I have seen stores open and close and open and close, and the economy is just not here. Like there's nothing here. Gallup is just dwindling.
I'm gonna stay here in Gallup for now and see, kind of just play it by ear, see what happens. I'm sure Gallup's always gonna be here, but what it'll look like 4 or 5 years from now, I don't think anybody knows.